Here's our next project, the MUCK TRUCK quarter-ton dumper with power drive. And the story behind this is when I bought my excavator, the individual that sold it to me had a whole bunch of landscaping equipment in the backyard, and they said that this was inoperable. And I thought, oh, it doesn't look too bad. And they said if I could get it on the truck, I could have it for free. And so we did that, and I thought, how hard can it be to get running? Now, inoperable means sometimes it's totally broken and just a piece of junk, or it could mean that it's just out of gas. And that was the case this time. I put some gas in there, and admittedly it does not run very well. So I thought, well, when I have some time, I will take it apart and replace the carburetor or do a carb tune-up and see if I can't get it running. We did have it running around here for about a day or two, and I just put it aside. So this is going to be our next project. We've got it warming up in the shop. We'll let it warm up for a little while and then start going through it. Quick update on the mouse patrol. When we got them as kittens, they were pretty small. Now they're getting pretty big. They're about 7 months old now. Maybe not quite that old, 6 months, 6 to 7 months. They're getting pretty big. Probably get a little bit bigger. But brother and sister, Jesse on the right, Woody on the left, they've been a good addition to our mouse patrol. It's been about a month since we've moved the muck truck inside, so I'm pretty sure it's warmed up by now. Warm enough to work on at any rate, but we have a bit of chaos here in the corner where I plan to work. Now, you know what they say about a messy desk or a messy shop? It's a sign of a chaotic mind. Now, better that than an empty shop and an empty mind, right? At any rate, we'll clean this up first and we'll start breaking down the muck truck. Well, that's as good as it's going to get for now. Good enough for today. First order of business, we're going to take the dump box off. Simple enough to do. It gets released with that lever there, which needs repair as well. You can see that down below there it's rather rusted. But the hinges there, you just slide it to the side and pull the dump box off. So let's do that first. When I first got this machine on the property, we got it running. It was just out of gas, and the motor did not run very well, but it did operate. So I'm assuming that all it needs is a bit of tweaking and maybe a tune-up on the carb. So I looked for a tune-up kit for the carb, and the carb itself was only $10 more. So I thought, let's just replace the carb. So first order of business will be to remove the motor. I believe there's some bolts that you have to flip this thing over or tilt it on its back to get those bolts off, and we'll remove the motor. We've got the unit tilted up quite precariously, I'll admit, to access the bottom. So the first order of business, we have to remove or take off that plate to access the bottom of the unit so I can get at those bolts. Now we're ready to take the motor off, so one of the things you got to remember is to undo the throttle cable, and now we can access the bolts now that I've got that plate off. And then one more thing that has to come off is that drive belt, but it doesn't look too tight, should come off pretty easy. So that's the next step. bolts are loose. Yeah, it was quite something. You have to reach in there with a 1/2-inch wrench and secure the nut or the bolt, and it's kind of hard to reach. Anyway, it's free. We're going to lift that out and put it on the bench. Well, here we have it on the bench. The Honda GCV 165.5. I'm assuming that's horsepower. This is the carburetor that I bought. It was an aftermarket one, but it's supposed to fit the Honda GCV 160. And so we're going to start taking just the carburetor off. I don't think it needs much more. We'll check the spark plug, of course, too. But and then we'll do an oil change. But this is the carburetor part number that I ordered off of Amazon. We got the air filter cover off, and it looks like it needs an air filter. We've salvaged the gaskets, and I think all we have to do is take these two pieces off. So I'll take a quick picture, make sure that I remember how to put it back on, and then we'll take the carb out of the box and replace it. Well, surprise, surprise. I just thought I had bought the carburetor, but opened up the box and it came with everything. A whole tune-up kit, a fuel filter, a bit of fuel line, the carb itself, new spark plug, and air filter. So that was a nice surprise. I thought I had just bought the carb. We've got all our parts laid out, but something wasn't making sense the way it came off, and maybe that's part of the reason why it didn't run. The previous person that took care of this maybe didn't put something back the right way, so I went to the internet and I got a schematic of how it's supposed to come back on. So we're going to reassemble this with the new carb on there and the new gaskets, and hopefully that does the trick. Well, that was quite the ordeal. Man, you need 4 hands to put that back on. Now, I'm sure that the professionals have some tricks and little gadgets that'll help install these things, but as a professional homeowner, well, I just had to manage by myself here. At any rate, we got it back on, and I did that off camera because you did not want to hear what I had to say about this whole process. It is a family show, after all. No, just kidding. At any rate, it is all back together. We're going to put the air filter in where it's supposed to be. We're going to change the oil and the spark plug, and we'll put it back onto the unit itself. The next step is going to be to see if these tires hold air, so we'll inflate them up and see if they stay inflated. I've also been lubing up the cables, just been putting some penetrating oil in the cables themselves. They're running freely now, and we'll have to discover what some of these things do. One on the right there is for releasing the bin itself, so it tips and dumps whatever you're carrying. And this one, of course, is the throttle. But the other one, I believe, the bottom one engages the transmission, but what the red one does, I'm not sure. So I'll have to maybe look that up on the internet, and maybe a bit of experimentation once we get this thing up and running. Anyway, those are the next steps. We'll clean it up and get the engine back on, put the dump bucket back on, and see if we can't get this thing driving around. the front and back tires seem to be holding air. The center drive tires, the ones that come off of the front tires with the transmission to drive the rear tires, definitely don't hold air. So I'll have to get some tubes next time I'm in town, but we'll get this thing running first and deal with that at a different time. Yeah, looks like it's got enough oil, but it's pretty black, so we'll quickly change the oil while it's up on the bench. A little easier now than while it's back on the machine. Boy, those bolts were not easy to get to. Anyway, it's all done. We're going to put some fresh gas in here, see if it fires up, and we'll drive it around and see if it works. The muck truck with power drive is up and running. Now I'm just going to put the bucket back on, but have to do a few things yet, like find tubes for those center tires so it transfers the power to the back wheels, makes it four-wheel drive, and I have to fix the brake, which this red lever turns out to be. It's a brake, and I'm guessing that would be a good thing to have. But other than that, it's up and running. We put a new carb on there, changed the oil, changed the spark plug, and it seems to run better. So from inoperable to operable, I'm happy that it works. Okay, well, that's the project for today, the muck truck repair. Yeah, for a free little unit, all it needed was a new carb and a little bit of tinkering, a little bit of mucking around on the muck truck. Well, it seems to work, and I'm happy about that. We'll move some dirt and some rocks and maybe some other things, or maybe I'll just end up selling it, who knows. At any rate, happy it works, and glad that you could join us for this video, and if you liked it, we would hope that you would subscribe, like, and share, and join us again for another video coming soon. Thanks for watching.